Hello and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be talking about utility corridor mapping. And utility corridor mapping refers to the spatial documentation of linear corridors that contain critical infrastructure such as power lines, pipelines, water mains, fibers, and drainage systems. These corridors often extend across jurisdictions and involve multiple asset owners. For public agencies, multiple corridor mappings provides the structured way to understand where critical services are located and how they interact with surrounding infrastructure. Accurate corridor mapping is foundational to safe operations and coordination infrastructure management. Now let's talk about why utility corridor mapping matters to agencies. Utility corridor contains infrastructure that is essential to public safety, economic activity, and daily life. Inaccurate or incomplete corridor data increases the risk of service distributions, accidental damage, and safety incidents. Agencies rely on this corridor mapping to coordinate maintenance, plan capital projects, and to maintain the right-of-way with conflicts. Accurate mapping reduces the uncertainty and supports the response and the reasonability within the infrastructure oversight. Now, there are different types of assets within the utility corridors. Utility corridors may include electrical transmission and distribution lines, water and wastewater pipelines, gas lines, telecommunication infrastructure, and drainage systems. These assets over a lack of spatial recognition are important even within the ownership and differing from each ownership. Understanding asset proximity and alignment is essential for planning, permitting, and emergency response. Utility corridor mapping provides an unidentified spatial view of these interconnected systems. Now let's move on to how utility corridors are mapped. Utility corridors mapping begins with defining the corridor extent and reviewing the availability within those records. Spatial data is captured to document assets, alignment, and the surrounding context. Visual documentation supports verification and situational awareness. Collected data is processed and prepared for integration into the GIS and asset systems. This step-by-step approach ensures the corridor data is accurate, consistent, and usable. Now, where is this utility corridor data placed? Utility corridor data is primarily managed within the GIS environments. GIS supports spatial analysis, conflict detection, and coordination across asset types. Asset management systems store ownership conditions and the lifestyle attributions. Mapping platforms provide visual reference for planning and communication. Alignment across these systems enables informed infrastructure decision. Now, there are some risks associated with utility corridor mapping. Risk arise when the corridor data is outdated, fragmented, or incomplete. Asset locations may be established rather than verified, so a lack of visual context can obscure the conflicts between utilities. These failures increase the likelihood of service interruption, construction delays, and safety incidents. Let's move into how Grace Aerial technology supports the standards for utility corridor mapping. At Grace Aerial Technologies, utility corridor mapping is approached as a coordinated and risk management task. We emphasize spatial accuracy, visual verification, and compatibility with the GIS and asset systems. Our documentation supports multi-stakeholder environments where clarity and defensibility are critical. By prioritizing structured, reliable data, GATT supports utility corridor records that agencies can trust over time.